Hello, everybody. My name is Graham Elwood, and you are watching The Political Vigilante. I'm joined by my very special guest from the Convo Couch, Johnny and Pasta, who were just up in Portland along with Fiorella. Gentlemen, how you doing today?
Great.
Great. Happy to be alive. My lungs are working fine.
Weren't working good the next day. They were sore the next day. I'll tell you that much from all that tear gas.
Okay, so let's get into exactly what days you were there, what you saw happen. And because it seems like this has been going on almost every day for a week or more in Portland. So,
yeah.
And you guys saw, I saw some of your footage, and there was tear gas, and obviously there's federal agents who are breaking the Constitution there. So tell us everything that you guys witnessed firsthand.
Yeah, let me set it up. So basically, we arrived in Portland on Sunday night after coming from a Nancy Pelosi protest that was hosted by the Movement for a People's Party with Shahid. And, you know, that we live streamed that. That was awesome.
That was outside of her house, correct?
Yeah, it turned out it wasn't her house, which is interesting. But anyways, we got there Sunday night, and we went directly to the downtown where everything was happening in Portland. And, you know, we arrived there. The first thing I noticed when we arrived was that these protesters had helmets on, they had masks on. A lot of people had the double like gas mask, like legit gas mask on, painter's mask. And, you know, we arrived just with our little COVID masks, right? And I'm like, well, okay. And we might not be prepared for what's about to happen. And there was a gate there in front of the federal building. This is a courthouse. The courthouse is is where all the events are really happening, right there in front of the courthouse. Mm-hmm. That's where all the federal agents was supposedly protecting the courthouse, right? That night, protesters took down that metallic fence. The moms were there. They were standing in line protecting the protesters from the feds. And as soon as the protesters took down that fence, that's when police started shooting tear gas. And that's when we first experienced it that Sunday night. And let me tell you, Graham, that was something else. I've never experienced that. Your face starts burning. You can't breathe. You can't see. Your face starts burning. My face was red from it the next day also. It's just crazy.
Yeah, I mean, just like Johnny said, as soon as that fence went down and it was on, I have like 2 videos that I never released because I was cursing so much. I was screaming, "You fascist bastards." It was just, you know, and it wasn't that normal type of tear gas you might see from the LAPD. This one was like peppery, and it was like, oh my God. And it's just amazing because there were a group of, maybe you can say, agitators, but they gassed the whole place. And there were a bunch of homeless people there, the press areas where they were off to the side. They didn't give a shit. They gassed the whole area, started lighting people up, and started grabbing a couple people, in fact. And the same thing happened the next day, rinse and repeat. Yeah, I mean, Johnny, if you want to go over that anymore.
And this was in Aleppo, Syria, correct? This is Portland, Oregon. Okay, I keep getting this mixed up. I thought that only happened in crazy countries. I didn't think this happened in the good old US of A.
No, it does. They brought their imperialism home.
Yeah, it's the thing people really need to understand. If we were watching this type of footage, and the mainstream media is not showing a lot of the footage from Portland, they really are showing small segments of it from what I've seen. It seems like you really have to find the footage and on social media. If we were watching this footage of Caracas, of Buenos Aires, or somewhere like, or you know, Tiananmen Square, we would be like, oh my God, that's what authoritarian, crazy governments look like. That's what they do to their people. And we are shooting tear gas at moms. I mean, it's just insane. So what did you just see the Portland police, or did you see the combination of the police and these unmarked federal Department of Homeland Security agents, or what did you see?
It was all those feds in the camo. It has the word police on there, but you know they're not part of the Portland police. But that's who it was that night. And then the next night, Monday night, it was another authority. We
believe it was U.S. Marshals.
At first, I thought it was Portland police,
but it wasn't.
But it looks like it's looking more like it's federal marshals. Yeah.
It was definitely, and the second night was really scary. I mean, we were, you know, Johnny, the reason why I wanted to make sure that he was on today, he held his camera, for like 6 hours doing this whole thing and following the protest from beginning to end. But we knew from the night before that the party, when I mean the party, the tear gas and the rubber bullets, that doesn't really get started till after midnight and stuff. But it was just a little bit after midnight. We had been standing up. We were in one area. We were kind of off to the side. I said, I'm going to go to the van because the Bernie van was there helping us out. They were actually showing our live feed, which is about 20 feet away from the federal building. So as Johnny is marching around the whole situation when they were marching earlier, people were watching the live feed from the Bernie van. We were using it as a media van, plain and simple. So we go back for a second, me and Fiorella, just to get some water, to freshen up, take our mask off, just change up, and then get back over. But when we went over there, all hell broke loose, and they came out. And we were behind enemy lines. And if you look at Fiorella's Twitter, Johnny's Twitter, my Twitter, the Convo Couch Twitter, it will show you. We were caught in the van. First of all, the gas came in and we were choking. We finally sealed it up because we found out we had one of the top ventilations open and it was kind of coming in. But we cut the lights. We cut everything inside. We were choking, putting water on our face. We were behind enemy lines. There were no protesters around because they had run them off. And we were just filming from out there. They saw us. We had our press helmets on, our badge and everything. They did not care. You know why? Because there's not going to be any accountability from the feds. They're like, get the hell out of the van, and started smashing the windows. Get out of the vans. And I'm screaming, press, press. And I'm walking out. We're getting out of the van. The 2 other people that were with us took off. I'm with Fiorella. We're coming out, and I'm just screaming, press. I'm pressed. I thought they were going to light us up. They were pointing their guns at us. This was like a war zone.
That must have been super scary. Like Pasta's, like I said with the gas, you guys didn't have any masks on or anything, right?
No, we had the goggles and the.
You had the goggles. Okay, so but you really couldn't see, or could you see?
We could barely see. We were choking. We wanted to get out of the van.
They were
first,
choking, right? So
we were just throwing water all over our face.
And then the feds just come bashing through the window, breaking the windows of the Bernie van. So that must have been super scary. While that was happening, I was off to the side. I actually went to the Bernie van, knocking on the door, trying to get in. But I'm kind of glad I didn't go in because that would have been super crazy. But I was on the side. I'd been coughing and got tear gas in my eyes. And eventually I got my goggles, my helmet, and my 3 masks on to go back in to get to see the scene. And you could see from the federal building, you had lasers shooting, coming down, aiming at people, shooting rubber bullets, shooting the gas canisters. And yeah, it was just a crazy scene.
It's like a war zone out there, Graham. I mean, literally, here's the thing that's so sad. There's a lot of homeless people out there. There was, and just like Chaz and Chop, what these guys witnessed, the same thing was going on there. You had people in the community feeding homeless people, giving them food. There's something called riot ribs that they never stop selling ribs. And they have also vegan sausage, which is great because we're now vegans.
We're now vegans.
Yeah. And, as the tear gas is going on and people are choking, you got a guy with a gas mask on cooking riot ribs, off to the side. But all this gas is going on these homeless people and they're choking, you know what I'm saying? And it's a sad, sad scene. It was like we saw a lot of the weaponry they were using. We were picking up some of the stuff they had on the ground, and it's federal weaponry. It's projectiles that go out and just boom, you know what I'm saying? And it could cause some serious, serious damage.
I mean, this is just so. I mean, this is against the Constitution. However, thank you to Obama for signing the NDAA in December of 2011. This is allowed to happen. How many of these protesters are aware? I mean, I know everyone doesn't like Trump, and rightfully so, but that Trump is doing things that were allowed because of Obama. So how many people are waking up to that?
Let's not forget about Biden. And Biden played a part of this. He was pro-military because, like we've been saying, Graham, they just brought their imperialism home. So the architects that put this into play, you know what I'm saying? Now they're coming back and they're seeking power because Donald Trump. I don't think a lot of people understand the nuances of what's going on. That's why Johnny is always looking to talk to people, to educate people, to start like at these rallies. He's like, well, let's talk. Let's see which ones want Medicare for all, or want to end capitalism. But for me, what I think it's about at the end of the day, it's about imperialism. Really, it is. I mean, what they're doing out there right now, they're arresting what they're calling, and this is what Donald Trump's doing. He's calling it like Antifa terrorists. You know what I'm saying? And they're shooting these kids and arresting them and grabbing them without being read their rights, holding them without their phone calls. This is some scary, scary thing. Their imperialism has come home to roost. And if we all don't get together on this here, it's lights out. It's going to be across America.
But yeah, Graham, to answer your question, I don't think many people. The thing is that most. I feel like in general, right, in America in general, they're not aware of all the issues that we are aware of, right? The imperialism, the war, the economics, the racial injustices. They're not aware of all that, is what I think, because we're in a small bubble, us progressives or far left media people. We're in a bubble, and we have our amazing followers and fans, but most people don't know about that. Most people are consumed. Most people don't care. Most people are checked out of politics. Most people think their vote doesn't matter, so they don't pay attention at all. So really, I would like to see more education going on in these protests, but it's you can't ask people, you can't tell people how to protest, right?
So
it's a tough situation.
What are you seeing happen in Portland? What is the vibe like? What is you were there on the street when this happens? Are people like running scared, or is this just like radicalizing more people and getting more people like digging in and saying we ain't going to let this happen?
Well, you want go ahead. Good.
I'd say the first night there was only around 500 people there, and those were the hardcore people. So they weren't really scared. They have a chant going, right? What is it? It's stay together, stay in line.
Oh, stay close, stay tight. We do this every night. Stay close, stay tight. We do this every night. Telling people don't run, don't get crazy, stay close, don't split up, because that's what the feds are trying to do, just like the cops. Split you up into groups. They do this in like a coordinated efforts. They come out, they hit you with the tear gas, they hit you with the rubber bullets, they eventually retreat, and then your protest is now half the people.
Exactly.
Come out, do it again, and it's a quarter of the people there. Come out the third time, split you up, arrest you, take you in, do what they got to do. So that's why they're saying stay close, stay tight. They do this every night. Now, I want to point this out because, people out there, whether they agree with the Black Lives Matter movement or the organization or whatever the case may be, I want to point out that they've been the most peaceful protesters of all. You know what I'm saying? They're not the ones who have instigated. If there's anybody instigating, that might be the people that stay out late after or long after, because it's not a monolithic group like we talk about. But the Black Lives Matter movement have been as peaceful as can be. The organizers have been as peaceful as can be. In fact, when we were here in LA, we saw Black Lives Matter organizers telling people not to loot, not even if it's a Walgreens, not even if it's a Target, they're saying stop. And just like in Portland, they're peaceful. But you got this other faction of like poor people, homeless people who are not going anywhere, and the feds have inflamed them. So they're ready to antagonize and get in their face and yell and scream until these people go home.
And yes, so yeah, the first night 500 people, like they were pretty on point. Like they've been there like every night. The next night when there was around 2,000 people, that's when you started seeing, when the feds first came out around 12:30, they came out of that the building, that dark building, right? There was 3 buildings down from the courthouse, and they came out of that and then just started marching towards the courthouse because it looks like they were out of the courthouse. Yeah. And that's when people started running. So many people running, thousands of people running, and then that's when a lot of the protesters went away. Went home.
It was the hardcore people that stayed behind, and I don't blame them, Graham. It was scary. Like, it was just like, I remember just we were running up the block. Like, this is at 2:30, 3 o'clock now. And we're there, and, they're pulling barricades in and setting up with the umbrellas and throwing tear gas. It was like a freaking war zone. It's like Fallujah down there. Right. You know what I'm saying? It's like, what are the feds there for in the first place? To stop graffiti?
I know.
To stop graffiti? I mean, come on. They don't need to be there. So, I mean, it's the thing that's going great in Portland. What Portland is doing early in the protest, early in the night, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, before it gets crazy and serious, they're bringing the community out there in different groups. The moms holding arms, the dads the next day. The third day, they were bringing the chefs out there. So in the community saying, hey, the people of Portland don't want you here. Go home. So there are a lot of positives, but as far as the people who are there just to wait out the feds, I mean, I don't know what they're going to do, because I think the feds are going to continue to do this, use them as an excuse to stay there, continue to arrest people, take people in, financially bankroll them, hold them for hours, sweat them out. So, I mean, there's that war going on. But if I had to bet, I'd bet on those people in Portland to wait out these feds.
Yeah.
Right, because it seems like you're saying that, and just from what I'm seeing too on social media, the numbers keep getting bigger and bigger. Like, the people in Portland aren't like backing down; they're like, "No, we're doubling down on this." And you're not gonna. and even I heard that the mayor, who I'm sure is probably a neoliberal, went out for like a photo op and got tear gassed.
Yeah.
Well, his numbers were slipping in the polls, so he had to get his ass out there. And the thing that was amazing is that when he was questioned and they were talking to people and he was talking to the community, he goes, yes, the feds. This one gentleman said, yes, Ted, his name was Ted, the feds are gassing us, but your police gassed us beforehand, yes or no? And he was there. He's like, yes. So it's like, you see what I'm saying? It was the same behavior beforehand. And now Ted is learning. And I think he whiffed that gas. And whether it was just a photo op or whatever, you won't see Mayor Garcetti get his ass out there. And maybe we'll see a new guy in Ted who will come out with a very firm plan. And he'll tell the feds to leave and stomp up and down and go out there with those people again. Who knows? But it does seem kind of suspect that when his numbers were going down and after 50 days, now he comes out there. So yeah.
Well, it's gonna come to. I mean, it's literally going to be a city by city battle, because I just read that the district attorney of Philadelphia said that he would actually press charges if federal agents came into the city of Philadelphia.
Yeah. Krasner.
Yeah, and other cities are going to welcome. I don't know what's like, and I don't know where this is going. I mean, in terms of like what the end game is going to be here, because clearly they're trying to ramp up for martial law to lock the whole country down. That's what it feels like they're doing to me. And I don't think Americans realize this. They just want complete, Back Here Politics just said Ted Wheeler is a corporate piece of shit. He's also the police commissioner.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. I mean, because the other thing too is the people that are peaceful, that are arm in arm, saying we're not going anywhere. But what about this radical element? And again, you start beating and gassing people over and over. Eventually, they're gonna like retaliate with more than just throwing a rock or a stick or something. Like people are gonna arm up, helmet, masks, and get weaponry of some kind and say no. And then what? I mean, that's my like worry or concern. I don't know how does that not happen in this path that we're on right now?
It will happen if they go to places like Chicago and Philadelphia. It will happen
in Chicago.
Yeah. I mean, it will happen. Philly too, man. It will happen
Philly.
if they keep pressing the envelope. But let me tell you something. Donald Trump is not going to back off this kind of rhetoric the way he backed off with the mask. He's putting his foot down. He's going to be the Nixon president of law and order, and he's selling it. You know what I'm saying? And that's why like we talk about the Antifa thing. Like he's using these people and saying that they're Antifa. And the mainstream is buying it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And he's using that as an excuse to go and do what he's doing. And a lot of people are going to buy it. And it sucks because, I think a lot of people are enraged, Graham, because of the poverty that's going on. It's like they got nothing left. So get out in the goddamn street. And that's something we never address and we should address.
Well, yeah. And that's the other thing, too. This is... I mean, this pot isn't even close to boiling yet. I mean, when we've got 28 million evictions looming on the horizon, what are those people going to do? And you're going to then have cops show up and say, oh, you got to leave your home. And some people are going, no, I'm not leaving. And then what? And then someone's going to siege an apartment complex or a row of houses and say, come and get it. Like we ain't leaving. And that's going to happen. And in a nation with over 200 million guns. I mean, 3 million guns have been bought just since March, since the quarantine. So what is this? How is this going to play out? I mean, people just in gun battles with federal agents and cops, because the cops and the federal agents might want to wake up to the fact that they are grossly outnumbered. And right now it's protesters who aren't armed and they have the firepower. But then what? That's going to change. If you keep beating the shit out of people, and if they're hungry and they lose their home, then what?
Well, you're going to see some of those MAGA gun-carrying people who praise him no matter what joining the sides of the federales. It will be an all-out civil war the way things are looking at over here. That's why, when John talks about the education and talking, we got to get people understanding the nuances and open up these things about what's going on. We need to get some of those people over there to get over here with us to understand that they're getting screwed at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? That's the most amazing thing, that half the people are standing behind Trump and these federal guards and these federal troops are being manipulated by his same government. You know what I'm saying? That they're getting screwed, but yet they're so consumed and they're not educated and know what's going on, that they're actually standing with this type of behavior, this imperialistic behavior. And guess what? They're going to come for their ass too, and they don't even realize it.
Well, that's the thing that's so scary. They just think like if a Democratic president was doing, if Hillary Clinton was doing this exact same behavior, they might wake up to it, and maybe the left would be asleep or something. I don't know, but that's the problem with this dumb two-party system is people don't realize the whole government, which is both parties, is clamping down on us. We have a fascist government, not just Trump and the Republicans. I mean, the Democratic Party just voted against reducing the defense budget by 10%. Like overwhelmingly, the democratically controlled Congress crushed that amendment to cut the budget by 10%. So it's really it's amazing to me that people don't realize this, and this not to minimize the systemic racism in this country, and there's black men being lynched, there's white nationalists, but this is class warfare more than anything else. I mean, and capitalism and class warfare fosters racism and fuels it. Because people are the ruling class has done an effective job of dividing people to realize, to think, the blacks or the Mexicans took my job. No, a billionaire did. A billionaire took your job. And these cops and federal agents that you hold so dear, they're going to come for you because guess what? Those 28 million evictions that are coming, they're going to hit red state voters. They're going to hit Trump supporters, and they're going to lose their home. And those people are going to be like, well, my president's got my back, and the federal cops are going to go, shut up, get out of your house, and then what? And then maybe then they'll wake up to the fact that we have an authoritarian fascist. America is authoritarian and fascist, and it was created this way, large in part by Bush and Obama and now Trump. I mean,
yes. So, hey, we learned the hard way through Obama, so I guess they got to learn too. Remember, we were all pro Obama.
Yeah,
we supported. He just Jesus, Graham. He took away your house. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And like it's the same thing. It's like one hand is washing the other. So they're just going through the same thing that we went through ourselves, and they'll learn. We're progressives out here doing what we do because of what Obama did to us, and we were blindsided. So I guess they got to get blindsided too, because once these houses, they start pulling them away, and this is the second round. Obama did it. Now Trump's going to do it.
Yep.
It's going to be some serious time right now. I don't know what to think. And I just see, a lot of people, Joe Rogan's moving to Texas. He's getting the hell out of LA. I don't know if Texas is the best place to go to, but people are starting to get scared and they're starting to run.
Yeah, because it's America. I mean, that's the other thing. You throw the economic component in this. Again, you're seeing it just, Portland is just one little snapshot of it. You've got a lot of people who are poor, living on the streets, lost their job, whatever. And so they don't give a shit. And when you increase the number of people that don't give a shit, when you've got not some fringe element, but you've got 50 million people that have lost everything, you've got all these people who've had their homes taken, because not only are people going to lose their homes, these small business owners are going to get shut down. Yeah. All this stuff is going to happen, and people are going to just have had enough. In America, I mean, these riots and protests right now are going to look like a goddamn Disney parade compared to what could happen. Yeah. And I don't see the ruling class backing off. They're going to just double down on the brutality, which is going to enrage and radicalize more people.
Oh yeah.
And they're going to not show up. We're going to, it's just going to start happening, and there's going to be Molotov cocktails. You're going to see all these things that happen. It's going to look like a cross between, I don't know what, Northern Ireland in the 70s and, when the Soviet Union collapsed in the 90s in Russia or something like that. I don't know what it's going to look like, but it ain't going to be pretty.
Yeah. It's either the ruling class knows that this is happening, right? And they're aware of it and they designed it this way, or they're so fucking greedy and stupid that they're just doing this, right? So I don't know what it is. What do you think about that?
I think it's probably a little bit of both. I think they are engineering it because their whole thing has to keep us divided, right? Their whole thing has to keep us divided and conquer the minute. And look, that first week of the George Floyd protest, the end of May, I think they got scared because it was like, whoa, it wasn't just some black people and a handful of white. It was everybody got into the streets that week, and all 50 states and 18 countries, and people were saying they're not going away, and these protests are not going away, and it's uniting people. That's why the corporate media keeps saying race problems and race relations, because they need to say, they use these very choice words to make it seem like it's white versus black. They got to push that narrative, because, and again, there's white nationalists and who are bad, but they're and I'm not minimizing how horrible they are and dangerous they are, but percentage wise, they're a small percentage of people.
Yeah. They
are not in the majority, not even close. I mean, they're probably, a hand, like 3 or 4% or something like that, because most white people, so it's just this handful of white people feel this way, right? Majority of white people don't feel that way. On top of every person of color in America is not on their side. So they are completely outnumbered. But rather than the media saying this is this handful of small, dangerous people, they're making it seem like it's white versus. Even when I watch like ESPN and sports, they're always showing, and I'm glad athletes are speaking up, but they're always mainly showing the black athletes speaking up and not white, because they don't want to show the unity. They cannot show everybody coming together, and the way they portray the protests. And we've been to all these protests, and you've been there. It's everybody at these protests. Like, I've heard black people say, I've never seen more white people at a Black Lives Matter protest in my life. And so I think it's a combination. They're trying to keep us divided. That's their tactic, but it's slowly eroding, and they don't know what to do other than just double down on the brutality. I don't know. That's just my sense of it. I could be wrong, but
you know what I think, Graham? I think that their plan is coming to fruition somewhat, because here's the thing is, and let me just speak completely clear about this. What happened to George Floyd was disgusting. It was terrible. And I shouldn't say somebody should be as equally mad, but we should also in the streets be just as mad about the CARES Act, because whether we like it or not, the CARES Act, the way they took all the resources and threw it up top, and they're going to throw a lot of people on the streets, and they didn't protect them during a virus. The CARES Act is going to kill a hell of a lot more people than the cops. And we have to understand that, you know what I'm saying? And bring that in together, because we should be protesting that right now as well. You know what I'm saying? It can't just be about, what we see that is enraging us. We got to get nuanced and understand that the same people who set up these systems, the same people who the police officers are the arm of the security state, they're benefiting it and they're raping us with the CARES Act. And we got to know that and protest that as well. That's why the Nancy Pelosi protest should have had a ton more people than it really had, because she doesn't want to give you Medicare for all in this situation. When Johnny keeps on asking for Medicare for all, people don't know that Nancy Pelosi wants to give you COBRA. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
During a pandemic. So that's something I'd like to see more of when I say let's get more nuance and understand what's really killing us. The cops killed 1,000 people last year, right? Imperialism kills 40,000 people a year dropping bombs. That's not to even mention all the dictators that we put in control that are killing and suppressing so many people around this world. So we got to bring it all together, and I'd like to see more of that. And that's why I'm on a mission with Johnny now to want to go to these things to give some education
without minimizing their costs,
without minimizing anybody's cost. And I try to explain that. You know what I'm saying? It's like I understand, but we got to bring this together. We got to understand that the oligarchs, and the whole thing with the oligarchs is you can't even put a name on these people. Like, who's pulling the strings behind closed doors over here? But there are a group of people who control all the resources in this world. And they're the ones who are really, really screwing us. Those are the ones who are really taking the resources from us. And we got to get after them too.
Yeah, it's amazing, man. It's the people I hope are waking up to this fact. I mean, when I see people talk about defunding the police and they're starting to make the connection of defund the military as well, I really hope they see that connection, because you're right. The crimes, the $4.25 trillion that in the CARES Act that went to Wall Street is going to be one of the reasons why people are going to 28 million evictions are going to happen. And
they're going to die, Graham.
Yeah.
They're not going to have anything. They're going to die early because Wall Street is throwing them out on the streets. I mean, thank God that you were able to recover from what's going on. But what they did to you, they stripped away a lot of your life. That was an investment for you and your future. They took that away.
Yeah.
And that's what they did with the CARES Act. and they're getting away with it.
Yeah, and they're taking away people's retirement. They're taking away people's, their children's college tuition.
Everything.
They're taking away all this stuff. They're taking away just all this wealth is gone. I mean, look, billionaires have made over $430 billion during this quarantine. Billionaires have made that. And who else? Like, none of us are profiting like this. It's unbelievable to me. And I hope people see the connection. Like I said this early on, I said there's no photos or video of a cop putting their knee on the neck of a billionaire. And that's
I know
really part of it. Like, it's not just the systemic racism. I'm not downplaying it at all. It's awful, and it's been here for centuries. But part of it is servicing the billionaire ruling class. It's protect and serve the ruling class, and the rest of us. And like you say, when these red state Trump supporters have federal agents coming and taking their home and tear gassing them, they might wake up finally that we're in this repressive strait, when that wall at the border that they were so happy for is actually there to keep them in. Because Mexico is going to say, nope, we don't want you. Nobody wants America right now. And so Canada, you can't go to Canada. You can't go to Mexico. You can't go anywhere. So
it's hard to go to Canada.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not going to want you, man. And I think this is by design, that they want to keep us in here and keep us divided, but it really might backfire on them because, the saying goes, the Hamptons are not a defensible position. And it's one thing to have, a bunch of unarmed protesters arm in arm, which is a beautiful thing, and I appreciate that. It's another thing if 2,000 people who are armed show up and say outside of the courthouse, outside of every Capitol building, outside of the CIA's headquarters, outside of wherever, you can't stop that. You just can't. You won't be able to, and rubber bullets and tear, and then it's going to be a firefight.
Graham, I don't know what this, you got a super chat over there, but I'm going to tell you this right now. We didn't witness, and we've been to a lot of these protesters. I don't know where they're getting this whole thing with murders from the protesters that's happening. I haven't even seen a protester go at a cop or anything even hard right now. So I don't, from a group of people who go out to these protests all the time, stop trying to take these stories about bullshit about the protesters causing a lot of pain and murder and whatnot. The majority of these protesters, and like I said, especially the Black Lives Matter leaders, have been peaceful. It only turns when the cops do their thing.
And in fact, actually, Black Future Project, which I covered last night in Beverly Hills, James Butler has criticized, the leader of Black Future Project, has criticized Black Lives Matter organization for going home early. And he's even called them bootlickers by abiding by the laws of the that they put in place, all the curfews and stuff. So there's a lot of different opinions, and like Cornel West said in our interview, he said when you say defund the police, you guys said defund the Pentagon
too as well.
Mm-hmm.
You can't, I mean, there are not the protesters, and like I said, even when we were in Portland, there was a group of people setting on a tree on fire, like a small tree. And one of the leaders of the Black Lives Matter movement that was there, and a lot of them had gone home, she was staying behind. She went over and said, put fire out. This is not right. This is not how we protest. We're peaceful. You know what I'm saying? And then somebody was like, shut up with your Uncle Tom tactics. And they started going back at it, and they were like, you know what I'm saying? But eventually they put out the tree, you know what I'm saying? And that was that. So they've been so peaceful, and the majority of these protests have been so peaceful. Yes, the little pockets might break off and go looting, but they got nothing to do with the protest, and they got nothing to do with the protest organizers.
Okay. Well, before we let you guys go, what are your thoughts on this? What do you see happening next, and how can people get involved?
People can get involved by, I don't know, I think on Facebook there are a lot of events. On Instagram, I've been seeing that's where a lot of the posters are posted. If you can find Black Lives Matter Instagram, like BLM Los Angeles, they'll tell you when all the protests are happening. What do I see happening in the future? I don't know, Graham. If they're really not going to give us any more money, you're going to start seeing, a lot of more people bought more guns. You're going to start seeing more looting. We've already started seeing more crime. I mean, Fiorella's car got broken into last month at a park, mm-hmm. And they went immediately and spent it at Albertsons, $400 at Albertsons, it's crazy. It's crazy. These are crazy times. So we're gonna see what happens. I might have to go with you to Hawaii or wherever you think. somewhere. We gotta go. We gotta find an island or something. We can go to the Lost Island.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm seeing, and people are getting creative too. That's the one thing. True. Talk about the Instagram. Like I saw, a relative of mine in the Portland area put out this sign on Instagram of like people are getting leaf blowers to blow away the tear gas.
Yeah, that was
milk
yes.
and all these things where people were getting really inventive on how to combat this.
Yes. That was one of the leaders of the Black Lives Matter movement. She was talking that night. She was part of the rally. She came over with a leaf blower, and that's when she also went to the tree too as well. But yeah, they are getting creative. And somebody gave me a suggestion. And it's like they should start filling balloons with paint. And I think they should start doing that, like pink, bright pink paint, and like get the slingshots and start launching at the feds so they get all pink paint all over them.
I like that idea
because it's non-lethal. You know what I'm saying? But it
lethal.
still sends a message and people will see what's going on. It will have a big impact.
And it'll paint their masks.
Yeah, maybe they have to go inside and start changing it up and stuff. So, But also, Graham, while we're on it, I see you got your Cubs shirt on there. And, whenever you're on my show, I always kind of bust your chops that you wear a T-shirt. And you notice that today I'm wearing a T-shirt, my first time on your show. Let's talk about the New York Mets today, opening day 1-0 as Yoenis Cespedes comes back. That's why I got my shirt on, a Thor here.
Yeah.
Mets, baby, come at me, bro.
I'm excited.
Come at me. That's Thor. He's pitching this week. Who cares about the Cubs? It's all about the Mets.
Hey, baby, I'm watching literally the Cubs game is on behind my camera. So,
is it still zeros?
No, Cubbies are up 2-0, baby. What are you talking about?
Ooh,
Come on, Brew Crew. Let's go, Brew Crew.
Lighting it up on the north side. What are you talking about?
Well, listen, if they go down over there, we're going to go to Chicago. You know what I'm saying? If things starts popping up, us, we're going to go there and cover it because we want to get what's really going on the ground and bring it to people to let them see it because, whether there are a little instigators or not, the federal police, the federal guard is not necessary. It's not necessary at all. And what you're seeing in the streets of Fallujah is somewhat similar to what you're seeing in the streets of Portland. And it's just, things suck all over.
Yeah, and I think Portland is a test case. They're testing to see, well, how are they going to react? And they're going to start rolling this out in other cities. And, I'm glad you guys, I applaud you for going there and covering it, but stay safe. And you guys need to get some better gear. You need to get helmets and masks if you're going to go do that, because this is no joke. And I would get knee pads and arm stuff like that if they come at you with nightclubs and start shooting you with rubber bullets, because it's you need to be ready for that, because they're not, they don't care. They don't care. They've made it. There's video after video after video after video of cops just beating the crap. I saw a bunch of Portland bike cops. A guy was just standing. They just grab them and they jump on him and they just beat the shit out of this person. They're out of control. The police are out of control, and these federal agents are no better. It is in every city we have seen cops get, and then like the Buffalo cops beat up an old man, and then they walk off
down, yeah.
And then they 57 of them walk. They're psychos. Like they watch that video footage and said, this ain't right. They're out of their minds. And this is how, and I know this sounds like cliche, and it was so overused. It was a lot of cry wolf, but this is what happened in Germany. This is like a couple of psychos got everybody. Most people are followers. That's the reality. Most people are followers.
Yes.
And they will go along with whatever it is. So that's what's going to happen. And if you're in the police department, you're going to go along with it. And there's only a few bad apples. Really? Every police department? We have all these insane, out of control problems, and this is what an empire looks like when it's on its last legs.
Yeah. Let's also not forget that in Germany, the Treaty of Versailles was signed, and people were very poor and desperate.
Yes.
And right now in America, people are very poor and desperate, so they can get away. These are the things. The same, the same things happen over and over again. And right now, that would happen in Germany, like you said, it's happening over here. It's almost like the same scenario, and it's scary.
Well, stay safe. Where can people follow your show online and watch the videos from Portland and all the other work you guys have done? Again, a fantastic interview with Cornel West from like 2 weeks ago or whatever. Tell people where they can follow you.
Yeah, well, we got Margaret Kimberly coming on this Tuesday from the Black Agenda Report at 2 p.m. Pacific time. I'm really looking forward to that interview. She's part of the Green Party, but she is an anti-imperialist, racial justice fighter, social justice fighter. She's amazing, Margaret Kimberly. And we're reaching out to other people in the movement too as well to get them on. But they can always follow us on the Convo Couch at YouTube, the Convo Couch on Rockfin, which we love our Rockfin, right, Graham?
Yes.
And of course, we have a Patreon. If you want to help us out to get those gas masks, go to our Patreon, give us a couple bucks so we can get Johnny preparation and get all our gear and get ready. So
I also have a separate channel. Apart from being an amazing cameraman, making pasta look beautiful on camera and fee look good, and
Humble guy.
and running this whole operation, I also have another channel where I have 4K footage on the ground of various protests, and that channel is called True Rebel Network.
Yeah.
So you can find that on YouTube.
Nice.
It's like the Rupley. It's like, you know how Rupley is to RT?
Yes.
We use a lot of True Rebel Network footage for the Convo Couch. He did the El Monte protest after those cops beat the crap out of those people in El Monte.
That was before George Floyd, too.
What was it, Mistaken Identity?
Yeah, it was Mistaken Identity.
And they beat the shit out of them.
They beat the shit out of like
Cops.
this little girl and this
Terrible.
this other Spanish dude who had tattoos. So it's just mistaken identity. If you're brown and you have tattoos, or black and you have tattoos, you're a suspect.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, all right, guys. Thanks for doing that work. Everybody check that out. The Convo Couch. And Johnny, what's your channel again? The what?
True Rebel Network.
True Rebel Network at the Convo
True
Couch.
Rebel Network.
All right, boys.
And we're herbivores now, baby.
I know I'd get you vegan. I know I'd get you vegan.
Listen, I will break my veganism to eat the elites. That's no doubt there.
That's the only time it's okay to break your veganism is to eat the rich.
That's it. In public. So they can see it.
All right, Johnny and Pasta, thank you so much. Tell Fee I said thank you for the work she's done. I know you all had a lot of traveling. Get the good gear and stay safe.
Oh, yes. And Graham, like you said, go over to our Twitter, on Fee's Twitter and the Convo Couch Twitter. We have a lot of that Portland stuff up. At Yo Pasta, my Twitter, Johnny's Twitter. We have a lot of those little clips of those footage up when the feds, we were behind enemy lines. You can see a lot of that stuff. And, of course, on our YouTube, Johnny walked around with a camera for almost 6 hours. Man, did he man up. Whew.
Wow.
I've always been a man, Pasta.
Outstanding.
But yeah, on Twitter, there's a small clip, so those are cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, check it out.
Love you, Graham.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.
Let's
Stay
go
safe.
Mets.
Yeah, go Cubbies. Come on now. This is it. Cubbies 2020.
Gotcha.
Go Cubs.
See you there, Johnny. All right, boys. We'll see you.
Thank you.
Hey, everybody. Like, share, and subscribe. Hit the bell notification button and the subscribe button, even if you've done it before, because they're unsubscribing, many of you, every day. Watch the ads all the way through. If you click skip ad, I don't get paid. Also, support us at patreon.com/Graham Elwood or rockfin.com/Graham Elwood. Rockfin.com is a blockchain cryptocurrency platform. All my videos are on Rockfin ad-free. Thanks for watching.